If you've ever spent hours reading your textbook only to forget everything the next day, you're not alone. The problem isn't you, it's how you're studying. The good news? There's a scientifically proven way to make your brain actually remember what you learn. It's called active recall. And today, I'm going to show you exactly how to use it to study smarter, not harder. Let's get into it. Active recall is kind of like a workout for your brain. The more you make it retrieve information, the stronger it gets at remembering that information. But what exactly does that mean? Most people just study passively. They highlight, reread, and take notes. But here's the problem with that: your brain isn't actually working to remember anything. It's just recognizing the material, which feels productive, but doesn't actually help you on test day. Active recall takes that and flips it. Instead of just reviewing information, you make your brain actively pull it out, like trying to remember a fact before looking at your notes. And the science backs it up. Studies show that forcing your brain to recall the information strengthens neural connections, making it easier to remember later. Think of it like strength training. If you want stronger muscles, you don't just look at the weights, you actively lift them. The same thing goes for your memory. The more you exercise it through active recall, the better it gets at holding on to that information when you need it. So, how do you actually use active recall? Let's break that down. The key to active recall is simple. You have to challenge your brain. If studying feels too easy, you're probably not using active recall effectively. So let's break it down into exactly what you have to do. Most people think studying means staring at your notes and reading the same thing over and over. But that's just recognizing the information, not remembering it. Instead, cover up your notes and try to recall the key points before looking at them. Do you actually remember? Say it out loud. Write it down. Force your brain to work. Then check your notes to see if you got it right and what you need to review. It might feel a little bit frustrating at first, but that's exactly the point. Struggling to recall the information makes your memory stronger, so don't skip this step. Flashcards can be incredibly powerful, but only if you're using them correctly. If you're just flipping through and recognizing the answers, that's passive learning again. You need to actually force yourself to retrieve the answers before you check. So before you turn the card over, say the answer out loud or write it down. No peeking. If you get it right, move on. If you get it wrong, make a note to revisit that card sooner. To take it one step further, you can use apps like Anki or Quizlet. These tools use spaced repetition, meaning that they show you the cards right before your brain is about to forget them, which makes retention way more effective. One of the best ways to prepare for an exam: actually practicing answering questions. Try grabbing some past papers, quizzes, or practice tests. Then try to answer the questions without looking at your notes at all, even if you're unsure. After you finish, go back and only review what you got wrong. That way, you can focus study time on the areas that actually need improvement. The more you practice recalling information under test conditions, the more confident you'll be when it actually counts. If you want to take active recall to the next level, try teaching what you've learned. Pick a concept and explain it in your own words, as if you're teaching a 10-year-old. No complicated jargon, no textbook definitions, just plain, simple, clear explanations. If you struggle or you start using those overly technical terms, that's a sign that you don't fully understand it yet. Go back, review the material, and then try explaining it again. Simpler this time. This technique forces you to find the gaps in your knowledge and truly master the material, instead of just memorizing words on a page. The bottom line: the more your brain works to retrieve information, the stronger your memory cues become. And now that you know how to use active recall, let's talk about why it's so much more effective than passive studying. So if you ever feel like you're sitting there and you're studying so much but forget everything on test day, It's because passive studying doesn't actually train your brain to retrieve the information. Active recall does. Most students rely on passive studying. They reread textbooks, review notes, highlight everything in sight, and sure, it feels productive in the moment, but the problem is your brain is just recognizing the information. It's not forcing it in and remembering it and locking it down. Active recall forces your brain to prove that it knows something. Instead of just recognizing a concept when you see it, you have to pull it out from your memory without any hints. That's the difference between thinking you know something and actually knowing it. Here's the hard truth. If studying feels too easy, it's probably not working at all. Learning should feel challenging, even during study time. The harder your brain has to work to recall the information, the stronger that information becomes. Think of it like an exercise. Lifting heavier weights strengthens your muscles. Struggling to recall information just really does strengthen your memory. And that struggle is a good thing. It means your brain is building deeper connections, making it easier to remember later. This is not just a theory. Research backs it up. Studies show that active recall outperforms note-taking, highlighting, and rereading when it comes to long-term retention. Students who use active recall remember significantly more information over time to those who rely on more passive study techniques. So if you've been relying on passive studying and wondering why your grades aren't improving, now you know why. It's time to switch things up and train your brain to retrieve the information, not just review it. And so, incorporating active recall into your routine is not hard, but let's go over some tips on how we can do it. You don't need to change your entire study routine overnight. Just start incorporating small active recall steps in simple ways, and you will see the difference. Instead of overhauling your whole study method all at once, try adding just 10 minutes of recall practice at the end of each study session. So, after you're finished, close your notes and write down or say out loud everything you remember. Then check what you got right and what you need to review. This can be done as a brain dump, a mind map, a concept map, any kind of brainstorming technique that you like to use. Active recall works best when you combine it with other study strategies. You can use spaced repetition to revisit concepts over time. This helps reinforce what you've learned before you forget it. Flashcards, practice questions, and self-testing all work hand in hand with active recall to lock in that information. The best way to get better at something? Track it. Keep a running list of topics or questions you struggled with and revisit them throughout the week. The more you work on retrieving that tricky information, the stronger your memory gets. If you're ready to make your study sessions more effective and organized, you can also grab my free study planner and activity tracker. It's linked down in the description below. It'll help you structure your study time, track progress, and make active recall a daily habit. The key is consistency. The more you train your brain to recall information, the easier it becomes. So start small, stay consistent, and watch that retention skyrocket. Okay, so here's the big takeaway. Active recall is the most effective study method because it forces your brain to retrieve information, not just passively review it. The more you challenge your brain, the stronger your memory becomes. Have you tried any of these active recall techniques before? Let me know in the comments. And if this helped, don't forget to like and subscribe and hit that bell so you don't miss any more study tips. That's it for now, and I'll see you next time. But until then, I hope you have an amazing adventure.